Good afternoon, everyone. What day is it? Wednesday? Peak of the week. Oh, well, right. Donna, you're not on the live. She's going to be shouting at us in the background. Basically, I'm on the live with Emma, and Donna's in the background. She's going to be trying to shout things at us over the top of my head all the way through the live. Welcome to Donna and Cheryl TV with our fabulous guest, Emma. We are very honoured to have you here today. Now,
Thank
we've
you
just
for
got
having
somebody
me.
rustling a carrier bag behind my head. So basically, can I just explain the surroundings? Donna and I have come to the Metro Centre, which is in the northeast, because we want to buy some new clothes for our first photo shoot in 2 years next week. Now, we just thought we'd be able to come in, find a nice space in a lovely restaurant, quiet. You know, I've got a little tripod stand, get all set up for the live. Not so much. So basically, unless you book somewhere, there's like a 45-minute queue to get in anywhere. So we're sat on a bench outside of Poundland and Shoe Zone in the Metro Centre with, I'll just show you this lady behind who's just rustling and with people, just random people basically. So we'll talk about keeping it real. It's very
Don't
real.
get much realer than this.
We are the ultimate professionals. So yes. So apologies for the surroundings, but the most important thing is we have Emma today. And we're so happy because we're going to be talking to Emma about today's theme. And then we're going to be launching your podcast this afternoon, which we recorded a few weeks ago. We're so excited for people to hear your story, Emma.
Oh, thank you.
It was amazing. Tell them about your hair. Tell them about what you did for charity.
Okay, so at the beginning of June, I shaved my hair off live on Facebook as part of Danny Wallace's event, the Big Festoon. We were raising money for Women's Aid and Gallup, two domestic abuse charities. And as a survivor of domestic abuse and someone whose hair and how she looked has always been like a thing that hung over me, to be honest, but it's always been a massive pressure for me to look a certain way, to be able to feel a certain way about myself. So my hair was hugely significant. And I decided to shave it off live on Facebook and raise some extra money. And I loved it so much. It was really empowering. I did a dodgy job to start with because I'd never done it before. And I was trying to I was on StreamYard live and I've got a mirror set up by my laptop and I was like this, trying to pull my hair and do it. But yeah, I loved it so much. It felt so liberating that I've kept it ever since, and I now buzz it off once a week.
Love. And I'm sure you all agree, that those that are dialed in and watch on playback, that you really suited. Like, you have to have a certain type of face, and you've got a lovely, pretty, petite face to carry it off. So, and we were just saying, weren't we? Given COVID, you know, when you couldn't go to the hairdressers, and how much money you're now saving on hair products, where you just zip your hair off once a week.
It's a win-win. And like, you get out the shower, you literally do that with a towel and your hair's done. You get caught in the rain, it doesn't matter. It looks fabulous all the time.
Yeah,
amazing.
And like, if you're going out anywhere, like cutting down the time, because when you have to wash and do your hair, that's what takes the longest, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this in this heat and this humidity, my hair would just be like a big mushroom. So the fact I don't have it anymore, really bad. It's really bad. So when I go abroad, it's a nightmare. So yeah, this is definitely a keeper.
Well, we think you look gorgeous. Mel's just saying you look great. She does look great.
Thank you very much.
So but the serious, I just want to pull on the seriousness in that story, because today's life lesson. So we've talked on Monday. We talked about big goals, big juicy goals. I was live with Holly, my daughter, and then yesterday we talked about how to bring those goals to life, like envisioning, embodying that person. And today we want to talk about ditching your story, because the thing that stops us, we have the goal, we've got the vision, but the thing that holds us back really going for our goals is this story that we have, that we're telling ourselves, the negative story, the inner critic, the imposter, whatever you want to call it. And we're not going to give you too much of Emma's story because we want you to go and listen to her podcast, but you literally had an experience when you were young, didn't you? That embedded a story in your mind, which just played through like a majority of your life. Do you want to tell them about that? Hi, Brooke.
Yeah, so hi, Brooke. I've known Brooke for a long time. So when I was 15, something happened to me that changed how I looked and how I felt about myself. And then it was just a comment from a boy about how I looked that started me to believe that my worth was largely dependent on my looks and what other people thought of me. And it kind of started this spiral where I needed external validation all the time, because in my head I was never good enough. So I had to look pretty, I had to have nice hair, and like my hair was big and curly, and it was just like, since people have said, oh, I loved your hair when we were at school, I hated it. And it was always kind of trying to feel like I fitted in, that I looked the part for whatever I was doing. And I kind of just always looked for other people to make me feel like I was worthy. And that's how I ended up falling in love with the wrong boy. And that's how my situation, which lasted a very long time, came about, and why I stayed stuck for so long, because I accepted the love I thought I deserved. And in a really messed up way, I was grateful for it. And it did a huge amount of damage to me over the time we were together. And then for easily the next 10 years after.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just that one comment, the way you formed a limiting belief, a story about yourself, about not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, relying, like needing external gratification about yourself to make yourself feel good. And this was just a story that's just played and played and played and impacted loads of areas of your life. And it's just, it doesn't have to, like when we talk about forming negative beliefs or trauma, it doesn't have to be like a major traumatic event that forms something that just plants into our mind, and then we start the thought process and tell ourselves over and over, I'm not good enough, you know, I want to look pretty, like I need to look good, or whatever it is, over and over. We believe it. Boom, there you go. You're like into whatever age, and it's still just running there in your subconscious, informing your actions and informing your reality.
Whatever I did, I felt like I always had to prove myself. So like that's when I had this huge like need for perfection in everything that I did. So like I was an amazing employee, because I would go like 150% every day, and I would go home and be knackered and exhausted and mentally drained, but I'd get up and go and do the same again the next day, because I needed them to go, oh, well done, Emma, oh, amazing, don't know what we'd do without you. I needed that. And I put up with so many things in different areas of my life for so long, because I just didn't feel that I could go, you know what, this isn't okay and I deserve better.
Yeah.
I just put up and shut up with it, and but at the same time pretended to everyone that I was happy and that everything was good, because I wanted to be seen as strong and happy and independent, not as shamed and small and insignificant and scared a lot of the time. Scared of being found out, scared of someone calling me out on that, or scared of someone seeing the real me, which I felt wasn't worth seeing or loving or being around.
And that's just such a, like when you look back at it now, being the person that you are today, it's like, it's awful, isn't it? When you have all of that, those shame feelings going on inside, like I say, which has then, because as we know, we're manifesting all the time. Like we are always manifesting. This is why our reality is come from our thoughts and our beliefs. And your reality, again, you really have to listen to the podcast to find out the struggle that you went through. But your reality was manifested from your limiting beliefs and the way that you spoke to yourself. And Wendy's just saying, we can form a negative belief from something as simple as not being picked up from the cot. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be a major thing that plants in there. It could be a simple thing that wasn't even given with a negative intention, that came from a positive intention. But unfortunately, it runs through. So we'd love to know, while you're listening in, or when you're on playback as well, when you watch this, like from where you're, and we're going to talk about what you're doing now every day, the goal that you're living the life you want to live. But like, what is the story that you're telling yourself that's holding yourself back from going for those big juicy goals, from going to that vision that you're sitting in? You've got the vision, you've got the big juicy goal, but you have a story that's holding you back, an internal dialogue, an imposter, like Emma's just explained there. I'd love to know in the comments, what is the story that you're telling yourself that you need to change? But you did change your story, didn't you, Emma? And it was from one very special moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was when my son was born. Well, not when he was born, but a short time afterwards, yeah. And I kind of looked at him, and being a mum was everything to me. And I went through a lot to get to that point. So when it finally happened, I wanted to be the best mum for him that I could be. And I knew that that's what he deserved. At the same time, I had that realization that I wasn't able to be that person for him as I was, the way I thought about myself, the way I was living my life. And my mental health has taken batterings at various stages along the way, from the age of kind of like early 20s onwards. So I knew that something had to change. And the thought of trying to be different was scary as hell. But I knew he deserved it. And in time, I kind of learned that I deserved that too. And that was the big kind of turning point then. And then I think there's no looking back. Sometimes when you reach that point, whatever it is for yourself, whether it be I can't take this anymore or enough is enough, there's no going back from it. And it is scary, really scary, but it's worth it. It's completely worth it.
It's like, we call it like your pit moment, isn't it? Where you just hit that point where it's like things literally can't get, the only way's up. Yeah. Things can't get any worse now. So let's start to go in another direction. But your life's completely changed. Like how, your story at the beginning about shaving your hair off and feeling empowered. So like, what's your story now? What is it you say to yourself on a daily basis? How does your daily routine look like? What are you doing on a daily basis, which is where you're living your best life now?
Okay, yeah. Well, there was a lot of self-work and a whole journey that went in there, and lots of ups and downs along the way. But being able to love myself has been kind of hugely significant. It's like, and also I did a lot of forgiveness, a lot of self-forgiveness. So kind of like going back and making things okay with the 15-year-old me and the 16-year-old me and the 21-year-old me and all of those along the way, because they're all a part of me. And it used to be something that I was ashamed of. And now it's like my vulnerability is my superpower. So it's the reason I do the things I do today. It's all contributed to the woman and the mum that I am today. And I embrace all of that. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I see it as a beautiful journey now, not some kind of sad story or a traumatic past. And that in itself has been huge for me, to kind of drop the shame and be able to use it to kind of drive me forward to what I want to do. And like, my little boy's 4 now, and he's awesome at like affirmations and things like that, because he sees me do it and we do it together, and his self-talk is amazing, which I love, because I never had that. So to hear him, like when he's trying to, like, we're at the park and there was this huge rock he was trying, like the huge boulder he was trying to climb on, and he was talking to himself and he was going, I can do this, I believe in myself and stuff like that. And then he did it, and the pure joy that when he's actually done it, and I'm kind of like, that makes my journey and everything I went through worthwhile, that I can pass that on to him now, not my shit, because it held me back for so long. I don't want it to impact his life either. And it's to see the young child that he's becoming is fantastic for me, and it's a reminder every day of why I live my life the way I live it now.
I love that. And I love, and Wendy's picked up on that, my vulnerability is my superpower. Love that. But it's so true, and it's so amazing that you've got to that point where you feel that way after the journey you've been on. Mel's just saying, so you had a really powerful why to drive your change, which was
I did,
son.
yeah, I did. But I think you don't have to have something outside of yourself. If you can do it for yourself, then that is the most beautiful thing. And like, a big part for me was taking personal responsibility, because I didn't know how to start by helping myself. I just didn't know. And I'd had counseling, CBT and all those things at that point, but there was the work that needed to be done, was the work inside of me, and it had to come from me. So like, taking personal responsibility for my thoughts, my feelings and the choices I made was huge. And anybody can start doing that at any point. You don't need a big significant event or anything outside of yourself to make that choice, because like, my life would be very different if I'd carried on living with my stuff that had happened to me defining who I am. And like, being able to take those steps to start owning it has been transformational for me.
I love that. And we talk about this in your podcast, don't we, about taking accountability of, some of the choices and decisions we make, which then lead us into something that's unhealthy, whether that's a relationship or a job or whatever it is. You you were able to get to the point to understand what your part was, where that came from, how you got to that point, and feeling accountable for it. And now you've been able to turn it a blessing and have gratitude towards it, because it's led you to the point you are today and being the woman that you are, the amazing. And Brooke's just saying you were such an inspiration, but led you to the amazing woman that you are now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's I find it hard to take the compliments, I'll be honest. That's an ongoing thing for me. It's like I also find it hard to big up myself, but it's an ongoing process. I think there's always more work to be done, but it's not this big scary thing anymore. It's something that I kind of get excited about, and sometimes I'll still get triggered. I still get triggered by things, and it can be something as simple as a smell or the way someone looks at me or something like that. And in a second, I had an event last Christmas that put me back there in a second, and I was panicking and I was sweating and I just wanted to disappear. And then I thought, this isn't you anymore. This is not the person you are. You're not in that situation. And like now I only look back to kind of see how far I've come, sort of thing, rather than looking back and reliving things and looking at them in a negative way and being in a victim mindset. I'm able to look back at it now and go, yeah, that was shit and it happened, but look at me now.
Exactly. Love, love, love. Mel's just saying, trying to encourage positive self-talk with your kids, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So
they're like sponges. They suck it all up at this age as well, don't they?
Of course they do. Of course they do. Tell everyone what it is you do for your business now, because we're going to be sharing your links and everything when we launch your podcast later on today.
Okay. Well, it's all very like in the process at the moment, which is quite exciting, but also quite daunting. I am a motivational speaker, so I do that. But I'm also writing a program for women who, like me, have been through some shit, but don't be defined by it anymore or held back. So yeah, that's a work in progress at the moment. I'm also setting up a community interest company, which will provide services to schools, colleges, universities, local youth groups, things like that, where I shine a light on the kind of subtleties and the early signs of coercive control and abusive behaviour within a relationship. Because in line with the new curriculum, there's a lot there to cover, but you don't really know it unless you've lived it. And I think had someone been that voice when I was younger, my life could have been very different. And there's no regret. But actually, like, I can use that in a positive way now. And so I absolutely want to and try and put a big dent in those scary statistics that exist around young people and intimate partner abuse.
Love, love, love that. So when we launch Emma's podcast this afternoon, your Instagram and your Facebook links are in there for you to go and check out. Please listen to the podcast. Honestly, the story is so amazing. And yeah, give us your feedback. Let us know what you think when you listen to Emma's story. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing your story and for putting up with the fact that I'm in the Metro Centre.
I love it. I love that you're just freestyling and rolling with it. It's brilliant.
Keeping it real. Mel's just saying, as long as we know what our triggers are and why, we can build coping mechanisms or even ways to eliminate triggers. Yes. Don't be defined by your shit.com. Love it. Brilliant business concept. Yes. And yeah, so just have a think about, for you guys, what is standing in the way of you achieving your dream goal? What is a story that you want to ditch? A negative story that's holding you back, like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, looking for external gratification, and drop us a note and let us know. But yes, so really exciting. Going to have your podcast out this afternoon. Look out for that. Give us your feedback. And also, for those of you who haven't signed up for the Imposter Syndrome Masterclass tomorrow at 8 p.m, which will help you ditch your story. We'll give you our 7 proven strategies. I'll put the link in the comments here, and sign up. It's your last day today. We're going up to like 300 people attending the workshop tomorrow. So make sure that you sign up for that. But thank you so much, Emma, for joining us. So excited to get your podcast out this afternoon and for people to hear your full story. And yes, Donna and I are going to go and find some clothes now for our photo shoot. And you're going to see the dog. At least the dog's waited until the podcast finished.
Yeah,
thank you.
He's seen something now. He's been good up till now.
Thank you. But you're going to go and cool yourself down from the heat.
I am. It's very tropical here.
Very tropical. But thanks everyone for dialing in. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what we're talking about. We'll see tomorrow. Keeping it real. We won't be in a shopping centre. We'll be in the house. And thank you so much, Emma, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys. Bye.